In this video, we'll be discussing the wasted potential of movies about musicians and how those are essentially just vanity projects. Next, I'll pick on a few of you from the comments and highlight a few favorites. Then finally, I'll end with answering the trivia questions from the last video. All that and more coming up. I recently came across a trailer that everyone, and by everybody I mean no one at all, is talking about. It's called Deliver Me From Nowhere, a biopic about Bruce Springsteen. I got maybe a minute into the trailer and I shut it off. I was done. Why? Because I've seen it a million times before. Like, I didn't even see the Bob Dylan one with Willy Wonka. Every other biopic about a famous musician is the exact same thing. They're misunderstood as a child. They want to be famous. They do drugs. Fuck you, Dad! They have a falling out with their father. They do more drugs. Their daddy issues push them closer to the limelight. They do more drugs. They drink. The band gets booed out of the bar. They do drugs. They go on a journey to find themselves. A grumpy yet whimsical manager signs them based off of a gut feeling. They make it to the big time. Now they do the good drugs. The obligatory sex scene. New girlfriend. The breakup. The band. Breaking up with the band. More drinking. More drugs. The good stuff. They reconcile for one last performance. Credits roll over their greatest hits. As you can tell, I don't watch a lot of these, but it's because I've seen them all. But yeah, that's the movie. How original. I haven't seen that story since that one, 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 that one. You get my drift? Yeah, Better Man, that came out in like February of this year. It was a fine movie, but despite its creative efforts, the best thing we can say about it is it followed the same template. That's good, like, great. So Robbie Williams saw himself as a monkey his whole life. My wife sees me as an ass. Make a movie about me. I'm making waffles. Like, we get it already. Famous people have problems too. It's cinematic Mad Libs. You could swap out Freddie Mercury, Johnny Cash, Elton John, Elvis. The only reason they entered the music industry is to get booze, drugs, fame, and laid. And it's all for them. It's not ever for us. Not for our sake, unless it's Huntrix. I'm a fan! It's so that they can support the lifestyle that they dreamed up for themselves. Those are not heroes. Those are just people who figured out how to hack life. So why does Hollywood keep shoveling these out like they're making minimum wage at a nostalgia factory? Simple. And you already know the answer. They're easy, they're safe, and they sell. But yes, everybody knows the game. The music does half the emotional work. There's always an Oscar Beatty performance that's going to steal the show and steal everybody's hearts. But at some point, we've got to ask, why are we so willing to watch the same story 37 times with different sparkles and sprinkles thrown in? I'm going to say it, folks. I'm going to say it. The music biopic at this point is nothing more than a glorified Disney remake. I said it. It's true. Like, it is true. We're not learning anything new. We're not being challenged. We all know to follow our dreams and, put our talents on display and, do drugs when you're down. We know to do all that stuff. Meanwhile, and I want to be serious about this, there are some incredible real-life heroes behind the scenes that have changed the world, and they've never gotten their own movie. Where is the biopic about the nurse who helped create battlefield trauma triage? Or what about the black female codebreaker in World War II who helped crack enemy codes? As far as I know, she never got world-renowned credit for that. Where is the movie about the scientist who helped stop a pandemic without needing a press tour or a Spotify deal? No, don't do that. Forget it. Forget that. Let's just do another movie about how hard it is for a millionaire rock star to go on tour. Hollywood, stop giving the same microphone to the same people. Start telling stories about the people who never got a microphone. Now, that's not to say that Hollywood never makes a good biopic. We've watched Hidden Figures multiple times in this household. The movie about Katherine G. Johnson and her team of mathematicians who were pivotal in getting John Glenn launched into space. Or what about the story of Homer Hickam, constantly duking it out with his father so that he could become a rocket scientist in the movie October Sky? Now, don't hate me for saying his name, but Mel Gibson is notorious for telling stories that Hollywood is more than happy to overlook. Just to name a couple, you have Apocalypto, the graphic thriller about the Mayan trying to get home to his pregnant wife. And let's not forget about the movie about the pacifist who saved around 75 lives during the Battle of Hacksaw Ridge in World War II. Or what about Air? The movie about a pair of fucking shoes. Why don't we have an infinite collection of those types of movies? The kinds of stories that were too awesome to teach in school. The point is, some of the greatest people we have learned about are through the movies. We get to know who they are. We get a behind the scenes look at their lives and what made them tick and what pushed them to accelerate and to invent or to stand up for the things that they did. Hollywood has the largest podium for the most attended TED Talks in history, and they're only using that platform to tell comic book stories, Disney remakes, and stories about musicians who everybody already knows about. How many times do they have to do A Star Is Born? And how many times do you have to beat the dead horse of A Christmas Carol before we can finally admit that Michael Caine and the Muppets did it best? And answer me this, what era has the story of Cinderella not been set in? And why do we have literally a billion movies about a wooden puppet when we all know that there's only 2 worth watching? As you can see, this problem goes way beyond the underdog trying to get a song on the Billboard Top 10. You want fresh? You want powerful? You want Oscar-worthy? Try writing about somebody the audience doesn't already know. It doesn't have to be a situation where a nobody producer and a nobody director finds a nobody actor to make a movie about a nobody hero somewhere in the world. No, you can get people like Ridley Scott. Or if James Cameron would ever stop with his fucking Avatar movies. Look at me, I'm the one with waterboard, dude. Maybe he can make a great biopic about a great human being in history. Think of the power that has. The name James Cameron alone would pull the audience right in. Nobody hesitated to flood the theaters to watch the story about James J. Braddock. The Depression-era boxing movie that Ron Howard directed, maybe the title Cinderella Man got people to think that they were seeing yet another version of that fairy tale. Throw Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, and Kevin Bacon into a tinfoil box, shoot it out to space, and that movie will earn millions, and we'll learn about the real-life events that happened during the Apollo 13 mission.
Houston, we have a problem.
So Hollywood, try telling us a true story that surprises us, where the protagonist doesn't end up walking off the stage with a Grammy at the end. Because watching another music biopic at this point, it's like watching remakes of the exact same songs just with different lyrics. They become a parody of themselves. Even Karaoke has more originality. When I read Walt Disney by Neal Gabler, there was one chapter in there where I thought, wow, that would make a great movie. It was about Walt Disney fighting to get the rights to Mary Poppins. But reading that book, I knew that one moment in his life would make for a really good movie. And apparently so did John Lee Hancock, who directed Saving Mr. Banks. That movie doesn't follow the typical structure of storytelling. There's no good guy and bad guy. There's no Live Aid concerts at the end. In fact, it really doesn't even have a happy ending. But the whole thing is satisfying. By the way, I really do recommend you read Neal Gabler's Walt Disney. If you're interested in making that commitment, it's a pretty big book. The affiliate link is down below. I would really appreciate it if you used that link to purchase that book. And yes, we need comic book movies and fantasy and horror. They all play a big part in entertainment. But I feel like they're at the expense of meatier, substantial, true stories about true heroes that we would never know about otherwise. And I know the producers aren't dumb. They know that bookstores exist and there are billions of books and stories to choose from. But it's like they just zip right through to the back of Barnes & Noble, pick out a book, it's called Clifford, and they say, make that into a real movie. And they just bypass all the other great stories that are out there just begging to be told on the big screen. I can actually see it playing out in my mind. The big fat producer is walking through the kids section, he pulls out a Harry Potter book. Ooh, let's make this into a movie. It says #1 bestseller. The assistant is next to him. He says, sure, that's already been made into a franchise. It's already a big thing. Everybody's seen it. Oh, I don't know. Let's just go ahead and do it again with the same music. Let's just change the cast. The cast was perfect from before, but let's change everything. And the Walt Disney Company, they should be ashamed of themselves. They used to have the market cornered on those dramatic sports movies. But then once they just became redundant in like the mid 2010s, they just gave up on them. They didn't bother taking them into a different direction or refurbishing them or trying to update them. They just gave up and now they just vomit remakes all over us. I'm just saying, can we please just be done with the big special effects movies for a minute?
It's just been miss after miss after miss.
Can't we just for a season get quieter movies with bigger impacts? like Dead Poets Society, The Scent of a Woman, All the President's Men. Why have we as a society allowed Hollywood to make those movies go extinct? And I don't think this is a preference thing. It's not an age thing because I don't want my movies to be too loud.
Okay.
No, I still watch the old Marvel movies with my kids. I still love the old cheesy 80s action movies. I love limbs blowing off in war movies. I love that shit. But the point is, unless somebody comes up with a truly unique way to do that again, it's already been done. It's all been covered.
Can we just be done?
We have it all. We have the entire Hollywood collection from the 80s and 90s constantly at our fingertips. It's all been done before. But you know what movie I haven't seen? I haven't seen the movie about the female who fought sexism to become a pilot at Southwest Airlines. She ended up saving all but one passenger on her flight when there was an engine failure and got everybody safely home. That's another recommended read. It's called Nerves of Steel by Tammie Jo Shults. The affiliate for that book is also available below. Now, I'm glad we got the movie about Captain Sully safely landing his plane in the Hudson River, but what about the female version of that story, Hollywood? Huh? But instead of giving us movies about real-life heroines, Hollywood instead calls it social justice when they cast women in men's roles from movies that have already hit their peak in decades past.
Let's go. Oh, did you? Sorry. I'll let you. Next time. Okay.
Yeah, guys, that's not sexist at all. All in all, it's time to finally give the spotlight to someone who never asked for it. Because not every hero holds a microphone. Some heroes, they hold scalpels. Some hold pens. Some hold test tubes. And some just hold the damn line when nobody else would. I want to know about those people. If you want films with more nutrients, stop watching the low-hanging fruit that Hollywood keeps rolling your way. Now, let's go to the comments. My last video was about K-pop demon hunters. It invited a little bit of controversy down in the comments. Most of it was positive, but some people were a little bit upset with me. Gene Johnson, VY2CI, he basically said that K-pop demon hunters is meant to be a feminist allegory. He ends this whole paragraph with saying, "This has nothing to do with Christianity. Stop stealing, stop appropriating." Well, before I had a chance to respond, some other people graciously stepped in the line of fire, such as Come Away With Me 235. She wrote, "It has feminist undertones, yes, but it's also true that it has Christian undertones and has been confirmed." The writer for many of the songs was inspired by her own Christian upbringing when it came to writing many of the K-pop demon hunter songs. What's also true is your clear display of Christophobia. Go with God, love. I like that because you can't say that somebody is taking a piece of art and tying it in with their religion or belief and just say that they're appropriating when you're doing it yourself and saying, no, it's actually a feminist allegory. Is that not also appropriating? Because if I remember correctly, and one of the great things about the film is that they didn't make the Saja boys into wimpy, whipped boys who just want to have women be their leaders and save the day. No, in fact, it was the main Saja boy, Jinu, I have learned his name is. Jinu actually is the one who saved the day. And in fact, forget that. He saved the girl at the end. How long has it been since we've seen that? I mean, can we not just call that a breath of fresh air? John Lee, I've seen multiple interviews of the writer. Maggie Kang never ever brought up feminism. You are so delulu. Gene Johnson, having run out of ammunition, fought back nonetheless. He said, "Perhaps she thought everyone got the feminism inherent in the movie and thought it would be insulting to discuss the obvious. Yeah, well, this film is constantly called an animated movie. You would think that that would be inherent as well." Desire Esprage, 6258, I really butchered that name, but she was kind enough to say, "I love that you pitch Screw Tape Letters when you talk about demons being real. It's a great book." Yeah, she's right. It's a fantastic book. If you don't know, it's by C.S. Lewis, the author of the Narnia stories. And it's basically a dialogue between two demons and how to basically F people up. Okay, Gene Johnson, speaking of being inherent, we have UMOC7677 saying it's a K-pop movie. Again, you would think that was inherent. But even UMOC7677 has to point out that it is indeed a K-pop movie. And no, I don't feel insulted by that. And then I did end up pinning a comment. A lot of you gave some feedback on my happening video. Thank you if you did. Only Jalen PhD. She was kind enough to say this was a really intriguing theory and it actually makes sense. I don't hear that a lot in my life, so I pinned that comment. So thank you, Only Jalen PhD. Now let's go on to the answers for last video's trivia questions. Remember, I read the review and you just had to guess what movie the critic was talking about. The first clue was, this may not be an ace in the hole, but it beats par by a long shot. This review was given by Richard Harrington from the Washington Post about Happy Gilmore. The next clue said one of the few non-Disney animated films to make its stamp in the 1970s, delightful. This review was given by Rachel Wagner from Rachel's Reviews about the movie Charlotte's Web. No, not that Charlotte's Web. I'm talking about the original. If you didn't cry during that movie, you probably hate pizza too. And for the last clue, snappy pacing and canny writing make this more than just a B picture. That review was given by Shane Burridge about the movie Tremors. If you are a new subscriber, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Don't forget to check out the affiliate links. To support this channel, head over to my Patreon. The link is in the description below. Patrons will be drawn at random to win a chance to have a guest spot on this channel to roast the critics who hate your favorite movies. Can't wait to see you in the next video.